What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's one day closer to the big day. It is May 29th. And yeah, I know I look like hell. Someone let me know in the comments this morning. Um, Thank you so much for those wonderful comments. Um, as you can see, I care deeply about it. And I'll be working on improving myself one of these days. And it is what it is. It's first thing in the morning. It's early. I was already up. The lawnmower. Oh man, hold on. All right, I had to take care of something I saw in the video, so you'll notice it's gone too. um, so the lawnmower people came. Thank goodness, because the lawn was up to my knees in spots. It was so bad. And so now when I move, it's like perfect timing because I'm moving in 2 days now. And I don't have to go through a jungle to get my stuff out of here. So that feels nice. What else? Okay. The email asking me if I'm available for a job interview tomorrow showed up at like 10 o'clock last night. And I didn't respond to it. I was tired. And, I also I don't like setting the precedent that I'm just available at 10, 11 o'clock at night. It depends on who it is and what it's for. But got to be careful sometimes when if you have a job doing the kind of stuff I do and you start getting bombarded with emails at 11 o'clock at night and you start answering them, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Adam's always working. Let's just bombard him with phone calls and emails at 11, 12 o'clock at night. If you consistently say, and just answer it in normal business hours in the morning, then you train people to leave you alone. When, unless it's an emergency situation, which in my line, in what I do for these companies, it's never an emergency. Nobody needs a design file at 3 in the morning. If a website goes down for the bank and the website is down and customers start complaining and screaming and yelling about it, somebody might have to get up in the middle of the night and go fix it. But in the case of a design file, no, nobody needs a design prototype at 3 in the morning. There's no emergency around that. So there's no, but I don't like setting the precedent that, oh, I'm just available. Just send me an email at 3 in the morning. I'll get back to you at 3:05. Because you can open that door. It's like they say, you can open the door and let the vampire in, but once you invite them into your house, they can come whenever they want. But they can't come in, they can't cross the threshold unless you invite them in. There's some vampire rule from some movie I saw. I know every vampire movie has different vampire rules, but I don't know which vampires these rules apply to, but there was a rule that you had to invite them in. They weren't allowed to come into your home unless you invite them. But once you invite them, it's like my slumlord. He can just come in whenever the fuck he wants. Take the camera down, pull that down from the wall so that I can't even see what the fuck he's doing. But then I have to come home and call up the other camera. So here's a funny, ironic thing about that. I was going to buy another camera on Amazon that was Wi-Fi enabled, but it was another hidden camera. I'm not going to say what it was, but it would have been just, you'd never know it was a camera. And it would have cost me about $60. So I didn't buy the camera because I didn't want to spend the money. I'm moving. I'm trying to not buy things I don't necessarily need. I'm like, I've got the cameras I've got. I'll just use those. Well, having to come home from work early because the landlord was snooping around my place and took the camera off the wall so I wouldn't see what he did, which had me wondering what the fuck's going on. So I had to come home and see it. Um, I lost at least $60 in lost work because of that. So it, I would have. I know that if I had bought that extra camera and had that thing set up and working when I, what's the word? When he did that, I would have been thanking myself for having done that, because that alone would have saved me from having to make a trip home early. I could have just called up the footage from that camera over the Wi Fi and seen, oh, he just went over and ran his hand in the water. Why? I don't know. But he didn't do, I would have been able to see that he didn't do anything and that all my stuff was still here. So sometimes listening to your gut is the right thing to do. I didn't listen to my gut. My gut instinct told me, get another camera, dude. And I just was like, I don't want to get another camera. I don't want to spend the money, blah, blah, blah. Would have been about $60. And it would have saved me. I lost the same amount of money by not getting the camera. So, anyhow, I got a text message this morning from someone related to that job interview. I guess there's a lot of hands in this cookie jar for this whole process. And there are. So I got a text message from somebody at like before 8 a.m. about that, asking me if I'm available tomorrow. So I responded to the email I received, plus responded to the text message after 8. I waited until after 8 a.m. To respond to that. And then I get a response right back. Are you available for a quick phone call? And I'm like, it's like first thing in the morning. Do I want to talk business? And I've barely had a sip of coffee. But I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not? So I told him he could call me. And it was a pretty, I'm glad I did, because that call went well. And I'm good at talking my way through these kinds of things with interviews and stuff. I've always got an answer for the questions they ask, and I can always tell a story that relates to whatever it is that they're asking me and make it relevant to them and what they're looking for. And that only applies if I have the experience they're looking for. If I'm not a good fit for a job, I will say so myself before they do. I've done this in the past. People send me job leads from the channel here, and I'll reach out and say, thanks, I appreciate that, but this really isn't a good fit for what I do. I'm looking at the job description, and if I applied for this job, they wouldn't even want to call me in for an interview because my skills and my experience don't match with what this is. But somebody was just trying to be helpful, saying, hey, in my IT department, they're looking for this or that. And I'm like, yeah, that particular job description wasn't a match at all for me. So I don't have a problem. I don't just apply to anything. When it comes to my professional work. When it comes to just looking for a job, I'll apply to just about anything. But so I don't have an exact time, but I may have to pull something out of my bucket of prototypes to show somebody in an interview tomorrow. That might be difficult to do. Due to due to a number of reasons, really. Um, but there's always a way to do certain things. I may have to take an hour or two and export some screens from an old prototype and put together a quick demo from it. I can probably talk my way through it without. I have to look at what's in my actual portfolio. Mainly because the system that I used to build this particular prototype that I would use in this demo, they went out of business or they were acquired by a different company, and so none of so that prototype is no longer available for me to click on and access anymore. It's gone. But I still have the source files, the design files related to it, and I could just export them and create a quick and dirty clickable thing if I needed to do so. I don't know if it's worth my time, because in an hour-long interview, you don't really have a lot of time to get deep into any project that you did, especially when you've got people asking you questions and talking back and forth. The first 20 minutes of an interview typically is just bullshitting and talking. I find that the more I prepare my portfolio and things to share with an interview like this, either share on a projection screen in person or to screen share during a Zoom meeting, I find that I get through the whole interview process and we don't talk about it at all. And I don't show them anything. But maybe they did take a look at my portfolio and they're familiar with some of the things that I worked on. So, I don't know. I'm still I'm still feeling 50-50 on whether or not the company will hire me in spite of, without a background check as a contractor. That there's so many hands in this cookie jar. I don't know. I didn't have an opportunity to pry. I had that question in the back of my mind, like trying to nudge it out of somebody without getting direct. Like, what's the next step in the process if they decide to move forward? And, trying to figure out, like, what will they do as part of the onboarding process. But that the opportunity for me to throw out some feeler questions didn't pop up in today's conversation. And during the job interview, that won't be the time to ask those questions either, because those people won't have the answers that I need. So I'm just going to have to go one day at a time and see how it goes. They were also talking about, if we can't set up an interview for tomorrow, it'll be early next week. Which Monday I'll probably go to the bakery, but Tuesday, I was already talking about in a previous video about how I would prefer to be at the new place, because this place looks dingy behind me. And the new place, I can have a desk set up at least at bare minimum with a laptop and have a backdrop behind me that's just a plain wall that doesn't look ghetto. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like I'm living in squalor in a fucking Unabomber cabin. So, I should just have, a background of a deer hanging up on a hook, and some a table with a bunch of bomb making materials laid out or something, just like Ted Kaczynski would have had in his Unabomber cabin. So I don't know. I would like to be in the new place before I do this interview. But whatever. It's no big deal. Today I'm going to get my hair cut. I'm going to at least try. Go get the keys to the new place. and anything I can do to pack and move and put some more videos up on YouTube so that I can get this whole thing caught up. Oh man, I can't wait until this weekend is over. I can't wait until this month is over. When June 1st, I should be good to go. Oh, it's definitely it's definitely it's nerve-wracking going through this. Um, but I look around, I'm like, it's not even overwhelming in terms of the amount of stuff to pack and move. It's worse than a camping trip, but it's not as bad as it's not even as bad as having an apartment with furniture and stuff. I literally have one piece of furniture that's difficult to move, and possibly U-Haul has, you gotta, once you break the seal, they always have like a dolly, a wheeled dolly in the back of a moving truck or a van. But as soon as you cut the seal and use it, they charge you extra money for it, which is kind of lame. I always thought that was really lame. Um, Charging people to use the dolly that's in the back of the van. U-Haul, U-Haul sucks. That's all I'm gonna say. But I used a moving truck once when I moved out to the house in Amish country. I had to move a bunch of big furniture, and I had a couple of friends come help me. And I think I used Penske. I think it was a Penske truck. Oh my goodness, that truck, so much better than any U-Haul ever. It had a platform on the back with a lever, and you just go, and the thing would lower down to the ground. You could load whatever stuff on it that you wanted to move, and then, and it had like an elevator, and it would just lift up. Even with the truck, you could just put your stuff in. You didn't have to, jump off the back of the truck, or have some dumbass ramp coming down the back. It was literally a platform with an elevator. They didn't gouge you extra fees. They didn't charge by the mile. It was by the day, whatever the fee was for the day, plus the insurance and everything. And there was a dolly in the back of the truck. They're not charging you an extra $20 if you decided to use the dolly that they gave you. There were blankets and all kinds of things in the back of the truck that you could just use to wrap around your stuff and whatnot. U-Haul wants to nickel and dime you every little thing that you like. Like I said, if there's a dolly in the back of the U-Haul, a two-wheeled furniture dolly or whatever, and you use it, they're going to charge you an extra $20 because you used it. Just things like that. It's like, come on, dude. Ryder was another brand of moving truck. I've used them in the past. They are better than U-Haul. The trucks were the truck that I remember using one of those trucks in Pittsburgh. Way better than any U-Haul I ever drove. But that Penske one was, wow, that thing was nice. That thing was really nice. Super easy to deal with in terms of if I had more time. But, for this purpose, I'm moving to a place that's a few miles away. It's very convenient. I can go right over to the U-Haul place, pick up the van, come back here, load it up, get over there, unload it. Now I have an empty van. I can go get some groceries. I can do whatever I feel like I got to do in that regard. Maybe, and to go grocery shopping, it would only add another 2 miles to the total mileage. So it'd be like a extra $2. I searched for the portable washing machines today on Facebook Marketplace. There aren't any within a reasonable drive from where I live in terms of a 5 to 10 mile radius. You can find them. I can find one for 50 or $60 easily here in Houston when they're 200 on Amazon brand new. But I'm not gonna take this U-Haul van where I'm getting charged 90 cents a mile to go 50 miles each way to go pick something up like that and end up paying the same price as I would just ordering it on Amazon. So I'm gonna skip that. I'll order the thing on Amazon and I'll do what I have to do from there. I may have to. Well, we'll see what happens, because there's more than one way to do things that need to be done. Um, but yeah, the first couple of weeks living in this new place are going to be hard. I can see that. Um, Always is when you move. When you move into a new place, it's they say that moving is one of the most stressful things that you can go through. Um, and I believe that traveling, just traveling is stressful. There's been more than one time in my life where I could have had a job that would have required me to basically travel all the time. Literally, just Monday through Friday, I would probably be gone, living out of a hotel in some other city, setting up equipment, doing things like that. Um, and then I would go and travel for a period of time, 2 weeks, a month, 10 days, a week, whatever. And it would teach me, even going on my photography adventures, living out of my camper truck, would teach me that I would probably burn out living a life completely on the road and traveling and living out of a vehicle more or less for months on end. I would probably burn out from that. I always appreciated having a home to come home to anytime I would be out traveling. And, a lot of times I'd be traveling and just not even want to come home. I'd be like, man, that sucks. Now that, you go on a 10-day trip and the first 5 days are great. And then on day 6, you're like, oh man, I'm going to have to start thinking about going home. And, like if you drive down to Florida and let's say you take the long way to get there, you take back roads and just enjoy the scenery and whatnot, and you take 3 days to get down there, and then you spend a couple of days somewhere, and now it's 5 days in. Now you got to start thinking, okay, do I stay down here for a couple? Do I do a marathon drive to get home, like a non-stop, like leave at 6 in the morning from here and drive straight through until I get home? Maybe one stop to sleep and that's it. You can get home from Florida. I drove home once from Miami and I'm pretty sure I didn't stop. Um, I may have had to stop and sleep somewhere, because it is a long drive, 1,400 miles or so, but it's about 20 hours of driving, give or take. Southern Florida, you can add more time than just going somewhere like Jacksonville or whatnot, but um, you can easily do it in 2 days, no problem at all. Um, I've seen people do it in 2 days with a U-Haul, sleeping one night in a hotel somewhere. With a regular car, you can drive straight through. You're just going to have a lot of coffee and energy, because it is going. If you leave at 6 in the morning, You're still not going to be home at midnight. But at some point between midnight and 6 in the morning, you'll probably be home if you go straight through without stopping. Only for gas and snacks and coffee. But it's not. So, yeah, there's a lot of times I'd go really far from home. And then I wouldn't want to turn around and go home yet. So I would stay and stay and stay. And then all of a sudden, crap, I got to go now. Or I'm just going to be hurting myself. So I might leave southern Florida at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning on the day before I'm supposed to be home. Sleep one night somewhere, camp out, whatever, find a place to camp about halfway, or try to go 3/4 of the way home so that on the last day I'm not getting home super late. But then there's something that changes in your mindset where if I could do a marathon drive to where I would get 3/4 of the way home in one shot, to where I'm 8 hours away from home, then the next day I can take it easy, knowing I've only got to drive 8 hours. If I leave at 8 in the morning, that gets me home at 4 without stopping. But I might just say, I'm going to cruise, I'm going to take it easy today, and I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy the last day and stop and do some things and check some stuff out and meander a little bit. And maybe after the sun goes down, I'm still 2 hours away from home. But, I'll get home 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then do I have to go to work the next morning? I don't know, but sometimes you're so exhausted from a trip like that going back to work is like getting hit with a sledgehammer. But when I worked from home, all I had to do was be on the Zoom meeting, Monday morning Zoom meeting, and then, just take it easy. Usually in jobs like that, when you come back from a vacation, nobody expects you to just be right on it. There's a consensus among your coworkers when people come back from vacation that you're not getting bombarded with all kinds of craziness. If you work on a good team of people, the pros and the cons are, if you work with a good team of people, you could leave the company, like you could just walk away and never come back, and nothing would really change. Nobody would skip. It wouldn't skip a beat. Projects would still get done. Everything would still get done, and that doesn't apply to just you, but anybody on the team could just disappear one day. Not that you would want, not that you would want your coworkers to get hurt, or, heaven forbid, something happens, like, a car accident or your health or whatever the case may be. But if somebody were to just, a good team is structured in a way that if somebody's missing, the team can still move forward. And, a good football team, if the quarterback breaks his ankle, they've got another quarterback. They just put him in the game. And if it's a good team, the new quarterback can do a good job. Look at the 49ers when Joe Montana would get hurt. Okay, put in Steve Young. Steve Young got just as many Super Bowl wins as Joe Montana. He was just as good of a quarterback. So when you have two starting quarterbacks, one just happens to be the starter, the other one's second place, that's a sign of a good team. That, we can get rid of the first one and the second one's going to do just as good. A sign of a bad team is if somebody who carries all the weight of the team leaves, and then all the work falls apart and nothing ever gets done and the whole thing just collapses. That's basically a sign of a bad team. And if that person that carried all the weight and did all the work was treated badly and it caused them to leave, then, the team got what they deserved. or the company got what they deserved if they collapse after someone leaves. I've seen that kind of situation in my career too, where companies drove away the best people they had, and then the company collapsed because the work went to shit. But karma's a bitch in those kind of situations. So that's what's going on today. Um, it's early enough in the morning I can ease into the day, drink my coffee, get some things going, um, take a shower. I got to do laundry today. What time is it? I'm not even. I am gonna get laundry. I got to get moving on soon. Um, I want to get that done early today. Um, I don't know, I may even put it off until tomorrow, to be honest, because I'll be home all day tomorrow. The longer I put off the laundry, the less dirty clothes I'm taking to the new place. Um, and because of the fact that I've got to figure out the laundry situation pretty quick once I move, um, I'll have a week to figure it out before the clothes get so backed up. If I do have to go to a laundromat for the first week or two, I'm prepared for that, but it's a bit of a haul. I would have to ride my bicycle to the laundromat, and I would have to figure out, like, how am I going to carry this bag of clothes with me to and from. And then, that's one thing I don't like about this new place. Um, but $200 I can get a washing machine that'll sit in the bathtub that has two carrying handles on the side. Put it in the bathtub, plug it in, and let the water drain into the tub. And for the amount of laundry that I'll go through in a span of a week, I can easily get my laundry done in an afternoon. Whether I hang up the clothes to dry on a drying rack, or I get a portable dryer. The portable dryers I hear good and bad things about, because it's not a 220 volt um, outlet. It's a standard 110 outlet. The amount of power, the amount of heat that they generate isn't considered very good. But when you combine it with these what do you call it? These portable washing machines, the spin cycle, one half of it washes the clothes and the other half has like a little spin cycle thing. And it spins so fast that the clothes come out of this thing drier than they would in a conventional washing machine. So that might lend itself well to using one of those portable dryers. People use them in RVs and apartments and things like that. They're not super tiny, but they're not, I don't know, it's one of those things. If I buy both, it's going to be about $400. And the money that I saved from choosing this apartment over the more expensive one that the guy jerked me around on, it's May 29th, and that ad is still up for that garage apartment. I'm going to assume that the guy hasn't rented it to anybody yet. Who knows? I don't even want to call. Once I called him on, or no, I texted him on we went back and forth so many times. I looked at the place. He said, well, I got more people who want to look at it. I think it was just his way of saying, I don't want to rent this to you, but I'm not going to tell you that. So I'm just going to jerk you around every time you call me until you stop calling me. But he still hasn't rented the place out. So he's looking for what he thinks is the perfect tenant. and he'll let the place sit vacant for months probably until he find because there's 2 ads for the place. Each one of his children put an ad on Facebook for the place because he doesn't have a Facebook account, he says. And so both of those ads are still up, and in fact one of the ads has new pictures that were just taken within the last few weeks. And I'm just curious to see how long he leaves that apartment vacant and unrented. But it would have been a challenge to move there. There would have been pros and cons to everything in life, but there would have been it would have been an extra 250 for the rent, but you've got to subtract about $100 because I'm paying the electric bill at the new place. So it would have been like an extra 150 a month over the place I'm moving into, but it would have been better and bigger. But I found out that at the new place I'm moving into, I thought the landlord lived on the property somewhere, but he doesn't. I have his address. He lives in the same neighborhood, but like he's not going to be right there up my ass every day. That's a huge thing. I don't want the landlord. I don't want to have to come home every day and see the landlord sitting outside my place, or like this guy here who just lives in the house right next door to my tiny house here. He just, anytime he feels like it, he just comes barging in and walking around the place, and without telling me he did it. I don't need that. This guy seems more on the up and up. I have I have very limited interaction with the new landlord so far, but the interactions that I've had, he seems like he's more professional about it. This guy never did. He seemed like he was a nice guy when I first met him. Um, but that all changed when he threatened me. When he threatened to throw me out for not paying extra money in rent after he still hadn't fixed the hot water for 3 months. When he threatened to throw me out of the place, he still didn't fix the hot water for another month. It was the 3rd of April when he came at me threatening me because he wanted to raise the rent. And that was April 30th when he fixed the hot water. And I moved in on February 1st. So yeah, so I can't wait to be out of here. I know I was talking about having reservations, like should I tell the guy I'm leaving or should I keep it to myself and just move in the last day of the month like my plan. And every time I would think about doing it, telling him, I'd get this big knot in my stomach, like this whole like don't do it feeling. Don't do it. And so I'm like praying about it. I'm like, you tell me what to do, God. And then yeah, the other day he comes in, rips the camera off the wall. Like the only thing you see in the video is a hand going like this, pulling the camera off the wall. Putting the camera face down somewhere, and then him walking around that's all you saw in the video. The camera turned off. He like somehow turned off the camera completely. And I don't understand why the fuck he felt the need to do that when all he was doing was, I guess he was checking to see if the hot water still works. He could have asked me. Could have just sent me a text. But that was all I needed to see and know to know that I did the right thing by not saying a word about it. I haven't responded to his... He sent me a text asking me if I'd pay the rent early. And I'm like, Yeah, I did pay. I was about to. I have to be careful, because of if I do need to go to court because of this guy. I just want to make sure that I don't give him anything he can use against me. But I was about to say to him, "Oh yeah, I already did pay the rent for next month. I just didn't pay it to you. Paid it to somebody else to get a real place, a decent place." Um, it's definitely not perfect. It's a step up from where I am right now, um, for sure. Nobody would disagree. I'll take you on a tour, and you'll be like, "Oh, that's so much better." Um, Something else I'm gonna have to spend money on. I'll probably have to get a shower curtain rod and a shower curtain, and I'll have to get drapery like window dressing, curtain rods and window dressings, some sort of curtains to put on certain windows. Especially, maybe not the bath. I probably don't need to do that to the bathroom window. There aren't that many windows. I think there's one, two, three, four, maybe four windows, possibly five or six. They're all small. So there's a chance I can get stuff on Amazon. But then I'm going to need an ironing board and an iron, because when you order that crap from an online place like that, it's going to come folded in a package, and you're going to there you've seen what the curtains in this place look like because they've never been ironed. So um and no, I'm not going to get velcro curtains for my new place. My god, like, this guy, I'm gonna walk you through this place before I leave, just so you can see up close how bad this place really is. Um, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I got my work cut out for me today, and I still want to I want to relax into the day. Um, so with that, I'm gonna let y'all go, and we'll talk later. Peace out.